So if you want to invest in real estate, you've got to have a mortgage guy. You got to have somebody who can get your deals financed. When you find the deal, they can execute on it. They can help you ahead of time get qualified and know what who you're going to work with. One of the guys who's been in the business as long as I have, who's done a great job for, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of customers over the last period of time is Fred Solomon. Fred, what's going on, man?
Oh, I'm just driving back from LA. Visited my family for the Jewish holiday, and
Watch out, vehicle on shoulder ahead.
and that's my car. Letting me know there's a vehicle on the side of the road.
So you're in the OCs where you live today, right? And where you work out of today, of Orange County, Newport Beach?
My main office is in Newport Beach, and I live in the Palm Springs area.
Got it.
Yep.
So I'm sure you get asked all the time, isn't this a bad time to buy property? I mean, rates went up, prices are stalled, the market seems scary. What do you tell people who want to build wealth and income but are scared of the market currently?
Oh my God, I love this question. The first thing that I do is I'm a data guy, and I know you're the same way, Bill, and that's what I appreciate about you. I like to analyze data, and unfortunately, my late friend Lee Honish didn't believe the data that was being put out there. So he predicted that interest rates would come up to 8% this year, and I thought he was absolutely insane. But oh my God, he's darn almost spot on. And we have plenty of coaching calls that we've done in our little coaching group that I run now that unfortunately Lee has passed. But we have looked at this, and there are some key components that you need to look at. And I tell realtors, you need to get familiar with your area. You need to know what's going on in your area. And when I say need to know what's going on in your area, I want to compare what the average days on the market were in March of 2020, right before the pandemic was called the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And then I want to compare that to where we're at now. In addition to that, I want to compare the sales volume. What was the sales volume in March of 2020 compared to what it is now? In addition to that, I also want to take a look at what's going on with what are realtors saying in that area, and what's the buzz in the market, what's everybody feeling. Right. And now in my area, there are areas where we're seeing price drops, like $50,000 on 10-15% price drops. Homes that were worth $425, I know that's a really small price range, but the desert's less expensive than Orange County, but that's just where I do a lot of my business. Homes that were $425 are now selling for $380. Right. And they're dropping these prices, and the homes are staying on the market a little bit longer. So that's what I'm seeing. And you need to know the data for your area so that you can be an expert and provide graphs and charts, and all of this information is available on Zillow data. And it's amazing the amount of information you can get from Zillow, and that's where I conjure up all my information.
Well, Zillow's a great source of some data. I know I use Redfin. I also use Altos Research. But I think your point is right on, that the key is to be aware that real estate is a very localized business. And what you might read in a newspaper article about the overall market may or may not be true in particular local market. I know, for example, I have a property in Whittier, California. We just put it on the market, and it's funny because the seller's complaining to me a little bit in that we have a number of, I won't get into how many offers. We have more offers than we've had days on the market. So that tells you that the market still at the right price is going to be high in some areas. Others not. It depends where it is. So, Freddie, you've been around like I have for a while. What do you think is the characteristic of investors you see who've made it through upturns and downturns and maybe profited in tough times and then held on to enjoy it big times. What do you see is the common characteristic of those successful investors who make it in the long run?
Well, I know a lot of them, and I watch what they do, and I'm friends with them on Facebook and on social media, and I am very intrigued by what they do, and so I can tell you, rental prices, they're not having problems getting their properties rented, and although they're not getting 100 applications like they were, maybe a year ago, properties are still renting and they're taking a little bit longer to rent, but the rents are still astronomically high. And I know a gal in this Palm Springs area. She owns about 10 properties. She's adding ADUs to all of these properties, and she's renting out 500 square foot properties, ADUs on a really nice property. She's getting $2,000 a month. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And this is, I'm talking Cathedral City. We're not talking Orange County and Newport Beach. I hate to see what the prices are over there, but she puts out a quality product, and she's building these ADUs, and she's just killing it.
Yeah.
And there's more than one way to skin a cat, but I watch what successful people are doing, and when I just grab a pen and I shut up and I take notes, just like any good student in a classroom. I want to see what they're doing. So
Right.
I mean, Aaron Masrillo comes to mind. I mean, there's plenty of people out there that know what the hell they're doing.
For anyone who's watching this, we are live streaming this on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I see people watching on all three. Feel free, if you have questions, put your questions in comments. You want to put comments. If you want to make fun of San Diego State University, feel free to put that in your comments, and I'll pass that on. I will tell you that my brother went to San Diego State University. He didn't graduate until, I think, Freddie, I've never met anybody who graduated from San Diego State in 4 years. I know a lot of people who went there for a year or two and went to detox, but I don't think I know anybody who went there for 4 years and graduated. I was at USC. We would go to San Diego State because it was such a great party school. There wasn't enough alcohol, enough girls at USC. We actually went to San Diego State to get more. So he's a big fan. You can see in his chest. I think he went to the final. Were they in the Final Four this year in basketball? I think they were in the Final Four in the NCAA basketball, right?
They made it to the championship game and lost to UConn. And
there you go.
And your comments are hilarious, because I'll tell you what, you never know who your friends are going to turn out to be. And one of the things that I teach in my marketing class is, hey, you need to stay in contact with your friends, because my freaking roommate lived in the same fraternity house that I did. We were roommates, lived in the same room. He's the guy that invented those headphones called Beats by Dr. Dre.
Wow.
The president of my fraternity was the guy who started Sprouts. He started that. He sold the company for $1 billion. And
wow.
these are people that were in my fraternity, people that I know, and so you got to stay in contact with people that because there are people that know you, like you, and trust you. And this gets into my marketing conversation, which is a whole another thing that I feel very passionate about. But yes,
So you're saying it's just because you know somebody and you see them in their underwear drinking grain alcohol, someday they may be a billionaire, so you should stay in touch with them.
That's the game plan, right? And that's the game.
Well, I think
plan,
there's something to that. So let's talk about that, because I talk to realtors every day who say, I need to launch my business, need to relaunch it, need to grow my business. And I always say, well, let's start with who you already know, like, and trust, and knows, likes, and trusts you. And they go, well, I don't really want to work with them. I want to work with some strangers. And I say, well, that's just a long way just to go. Start with who already knows, likes, and trusts you. Tell me about that. How do you approach marketing to your sphere? I mean, I've been in your sphere for a long time. How do you approach doing that effectively to get business, to turn it from a personal relationship into business?
That's another great question, and I could talk for days on, literally days on that topic, and we do talk for days on that topic in our coaching group, and I coach real estate agents. So the first thing that we talked about, Google reviews, and Google reviews are huge. And I
Yeah.
have, like, if you type in realtor in Gardena, one of our coaching students, Antonio Atoche, he comes up number one, and it's organic. And so when someone comes up number one and it's organic, he talked about exactly how he did that. and
Mhm.
and I'll tell you what, he gets 1 to 2 calls a day because of being number one on Google. So, yeah, and that's 100% free. So all these realtors are out there, they're, knocking on doors and sending out postcards and flyers and all that stuff. And is getting Google reviews, because Google reviews.
We're having some tough time hearing you. So he's talking about the importance of Google reviews. I just want to add, if you want to keep in touch with me, I have a link tree, which is a link with all my different sources and how you can reach me. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to put that down below on the thing. On my link tree is my Google review, and what I want you to see is, I think, how you can use that to build your business by asking people to go there. So if you look at my link tree, you'll see down below, write a Google review. It takes you right to it. It's just a click right on it, and I'll send people that link. So rather than just say, please write me a review, I'll send them the link so they can just click, write the review, and post it right on my Google. I had talked to Freddie, and I knew we were going to catch him in transition. So he's parking his car. We're going to watch him get out. I'm going to take it off the camera here for a little bit, just in case if he walks into the house or somebody naked, we don't want to put that on the internet. So we're going to give Freddie a little, who knows what's going on in his house. A little housekeeping. If you're watching this live, we'd love to have you participate, love to have you ask questions. Lloyd Siegel says the purpose of this program is 3 things: mentorship, and Freddie is a great mentor, where you can find others on this program. It's education. We're talking about some concepts that are important today. And community. And part of the community is talking here. Also, part of the community is going on to the Facebook group and continuing the conversation there. So I want to urge you, when we're done, or if you're watching this on recording, feel free to go to the LA County Real Estate Investors Association Facebook group, where you'll see this call linked, but more importantly, you have a chance to carry on the conversation and continue the conversation as we go. Okay, so let's see here. Here's now back. Now Freddie is getting a snack because he was out all day long working hard.
I'm giving it to my dogs.
Oh, wow. What are the dogs getting?
Salmon.
Wow. Wow, some healthy dogs. So you're talking about Google reviews, and how I know I saw that call with Antonio. That was fantastic. He's a great guy. Share a little bit about how does he. It's like, I started this. What I do is every 90 days I send an email to my client list asking for them. I started off, I got 1, 2, then I got 3, then I got 5, then I got 7. After a while, it got up to 41. The last time I signed out, I got another 80. I'm at about 120 today because I just consistently ask for them. Most importantly, I send the actual link to my Google review, so they just have to click. They get the click on it, they open it, answer the question, and it's done. Any other particular suggestions on Google reviews or how people should go about getting those?
Yeah. So, in addition to getting Google reviews, the next thing that you want to do is that you want to keep your Google page active, and that means contributing content to your Google page.
Yeah.
So what we did, I was when we were on the coaching, sending out a voicemail, which I never do, by the way. But so what I did was, I said, let's type in realtor Gardena, and Antonio came up number 1. And then what did he do? He talked about how he got into the number 1 position. So we saw some people that had 100 plus 5-star reviews, but they were down like number 13 or 14 on the list. So just because you have a 5-star review does not mean you're going to be in the number 1 position. You have to add content, and you have to engage. and by adding content and engaging, then that keeps your website relevant, and that's how you get to the top of the search engine. So if anybody has a desire to go and type in Gardena real estate agent, you'll see our friend Antonio, and I know you know him as well, Bill, and you'll number one position. He that I don't know what that's worth, but I know he's gotten at least 3 deals out of it in the last couple months. And
Right.
so
What's it worth? You know, I mean, it depends if you work it, it can be worth a lot. I'll show you guys what he means by that. If you go into Google search, these are paid, right? You only get here if you pay. These are paid, sponsored, paid. But you go into businesses, first one listed is Antonio.
right.
So I don't know about you guys, when I Google search something, I know to avoid these. No knock on them. I actually know Brad Corby is a good agent, great agent. And then these are services, compare agents, just trying to suck you in with their paid ads. So what I learned is if you're really good, you don't need to pay to get the advertisements. Just tell people good you are. And here is Antonio. He has 117 Google reviews and average rating 5.0. So he's the number one if you put in Gardena real estate agent. What's that worth? Hard to say, but better than a kick in the pants, I would say. What do you think?
Well, I would spend all of my time working on Google reviews versus going on knocking on doors or sending out flyers or doing door hangers or anything like that. Everybody knows that everybody starts their search for homes on the internet. So where do you want to be found? On the internet. How do you get found? Well, people type in the city that they're looking for and they'll type in a realtor. They'll say, LA realtor or whatever city you're in, and you have to pick a city and you have to focus on that city. So Antonio's restaurant, he owns a restaurant. It's El Pollo Inca. So and his office is in Gardena. So he focuses all of his stuff on Gardena. Does everybody that finds him on Google or calls him from Google end up buying a home in Gardena? No, they don't. But that's how they found him. That's how they found him. And so you need to position yourself as the number one person. If you own a business, if you own a pizza restaurant, whatever it is whatever your business is, you got to be that number one guy. And if you're there in the number one position, guess what? You are going to make money because you're in that position. So stop spending your time and money, canvassing and cold calling and all that stuff. Call your old clients, send them a link. Hey, could you do me a favor and write me a review? And not only are you contacting them because they know you care about your business and reaching out to your previous clients, but what you're also doing is you're going to get yourself number one on Google, and that is the best way, in my opinion, number one way to get phone calls and close deals without anybody ever meeting you, because what they're doing, they're reading all those reviews about you. So they found you, then they read your reviews and they say, this is the guy we want.
So that's for real estate agents to build their business. What do you recommend for somebody who's looking to get started in investing in real estate? Obviously, along the way, they need to find out what they qualify for. They need to talk to a mortgage lender. What's the best path you would recommend for somebody looking to go down that path who wants to get started?
Well, first of all, you got to figure out what your investment is going to be. What am I like out here in where I live in Indio? It's Airbnbs, right? Airbnb is huge. That's a big thing, right? Is Airbnb for everybody? No, it's not. But out here where they have Coachella and Stagecoach, and now the new one that's coming out next month with hard rock people, Guns N' Roses and those types of bands, I can rent my house out for $10,000 a night. So, and I can still use it, but not everybody agrees. And, the city can shut you down on an Airbnb in 2 seconds. An HOA can shut you down on an Airbnb in 2 seconds. So so you have to look at to get out of the property. What do they call that in real estate? Your exit strategy, right? You have to look at your exit strategy and what would that property rent out for if you can't do Airbnb, or if the city takes that
ability away from you, because there are a lot of cities that has occurred. So I like Airbnb properties because there's good return on that. I can, buy a house for $500,000, build a swimming pool, 4 bedroom, 2 bath house, build a swimming pool for less than $100,000, create value in the property. I bought it. I have a 600,000 invested, and then I can turn around and sell that property for $850,000 or $900,000 before I even do one Airbnb rental. But then I can make about $120,000 a year if I decide that I want to rent out that property on Airbnb. So that's just one. The other alternative is looking at what the cash on cash return is. Looking at what you can rent it out for and what the mortgage payments are. Well, rents are up, but so are mortgage payments. So I don't know how many single family homes are cash flowing now, because unless you put a large down payment down, what the numbers are, because I don't play in that world anymore. I do Airbnb. So Airbnb has been very good to me. I'm just buying houses with investors right now. We're building swimming pools, and then we're turning around and flipping those houses. And we're getting, 100% return on our investment, because we're putting 600 in, we're 500 for the purchase, $100,000 for a pool or less, and then we're turning around and selling them for 800 to Airbnb investors. That's been lucrative, and those sell quick because everybody's coming into the Airbnb market down here in our area. It's been popular for 2 or 3 years. So that's one way to do it. But, you talk to an Aaron Masbrillo, or you talk to a friend of mine that owns 10 houses here, they're building ADUs and they're creating extra revenue that way. So it all comes down to what your preference is. And as we know, real estate investors have options. My thing that I do is Airbnb. I've gotten good at it. I own a couple Airbnb properties. They're creating revenue for me. And I've had one in Hawaii for 17 years. That thing is never vacant. Never. Never vacant. So, like I said, everybody has their little niche. That's becoming my niche.
How do you find the properties that you're buying on Airbnb?
Oh, well, what I do is I just look for good Airbnb community. And then once I find those properties, I buy homes that don't have swimming pools. And then we build a swimming pool. And then we create value, because every Airbnb property has to have a swimming pool, by the way. It has to, in order to get to the maximum amount of rentals. So we buy a home, build a swimming pool, create value, so then the Airbnb investor can do one of two things: either make $120,000 a year or turn around and flip it. So that's a really smart thing to do right now.
I like it.
So you can either get out quick, or you can keep it and make 20% on your money annualized.
How do you manage your Airbnbs?
I have a buddy of mine, my buddy Charlie. He was working for Lauren Sanchez, believe it or not. Lauren Sanchez was the Channel 11 News helicopter worker. And you might know her husband, somebody. Jeff Bezos, yep. And so when they got together, Lauren had about 8 Airbnb properties. My buddy was the guy managing all those properties. When Lauren and Jeff Bezos got together, there was, I believe, over 200 properties. And my buddy basically quit at that time. And he said, I'm in the wrong business. Instead of managing these things, I need to be buying property and doing exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now my buddy owns 4 of them, and he manages about 10 of them. And the guy's making approximately $50,000 a month. And it all started we bought his first property in September of 2019. And I see his bank accounts, and I know what his credit report looks like, and I know what his cash flow situation is, because I do the loans for him, and I see everything. So I know it's legit. And that's what got me into it, just watching what he was doing. I'm like, this guy's a freaking rock star.
So the Airbnbs, and so this guy's got a formula he's worked out and he's doing well with it, and it sounds like you're copying it. It seems like that's always the answer: is find somebody who's doing something really well and copy it. And I've heard a lot of negative about Airbnbs, but that's in certain cities are making it difficult. Other cities really aren't, right? In Manhattan, where they're very hotel centric, they're cracking down on Airbnbs, but that's not true here in, say, Joshua Tree or other places, is it?
Joshua Tree and Indio are the two best spots to go. By the way, I like Indio because I'm right here, but Joshua Tree is definitely a fantastic area for Airbnb, and so I would highly recommend both of those. There, Indio, the mayor of Indio lives in my community, and
Nice.
so I know someone that knows him extremely well, and so if I ever needed anything done, I don't say I have pull or anything, but I know someone that could ask him a question for me because he lives right like 2 houses down the street from him.
Oh, very nice.
So I know what's going on and how Indio treats Airbnb properties. They're very Airbnb friendly, only because of all the music festivals and how much money those music festivals bring to the city of Indio.
Okay, well, so that's an exciting opportunity. Airbnbs, and we talked about ADUs, where you're buying a property and adding specifically swimming pools, are a couple opportunities. But these are both just kind of things you saw happening and kind of copied somebody else, which makes a lot of sense, right?
Well, it's funny you say that because in my backyard, I had a choice to build an ADU or a swimming pool. So I asked my buddy Charlie, I'm like, hey, bro, what do you recommend? And he goes, oh, definitely a swimming pool. I'm like, really? Even over an ADU? Well, he goes, you can build an ADU and you can rent it out, but then you're not attractive to Airbnb guests because they all want swimming pools.
Right.
So you might do well during, Stagecoach and festivals, but during the rest of the year, you're going to do terrible because everybody wants a swimming pool. So
Interesting.
what did I do? I built a swimming pool, and there it is right there.
Nice. Why aren't you in it?
What's that?
Why aren't you in it?
I just got home. You saw me come home for the
I know. We want to see, Freddie, we want to see, oops, I lost you. What happened there? Oops. We lost him. I think Freddie decided just to dump on the phone call and jump in that beautiful pool in his backyard. Hey, while I have you guys on the call here, just a real quick update. This is the official podcast of the LA County Real Estate Investors Association. LAREIC is the website, even though that doesn't really match up. LAREIC.com is the website. But it's the LA County Real Estate Investors Association. And we have an upcoming free event. On October 21st is the LA Grand Expo. We'll have 12 national speakers, 70 vendors. It's a fantastic opportunity to learn a lot. There are people doing Airbnbs there. There are people doing ADUs there. There's lenders there. There's coaches investing. It's a fantastic opportunity not to be missed. And then coming up on this week, on September 30th, all day on Saturday, is a basic training boot camp, which is a quick overview. On one Saturday, you're going to get, I think, 9 hours of class on virtually every way you can invest in real estate. And fantastic event at the Iman Center. And it came down in price, or went up in price, so it's $249, but still for 9 hours of training, it's a fantastic opportunity. Hey, shout out to Matthew Price, auctioneer and realtor. I see you put there, do problems finding financing for places. They're a bit out of the way. So I'm sorry we lost Freddie. I know the answer is no. I know he does financing because I just talked to him about a property in Big Bear, which is fairly remote compared to Los Angeles. Let's see, there he is.
Okay,
That's okay, Freddie.
Hit the wrong button.
No problem. Hey, question we got from Matthew Price, good friend of the show. Do you have problems getting financing for properties that are more remote areas?
Not at all. No. I mean, just depends on how remote they are, right? There's farmland properties. There are certain types of properties that are difficult, but generally speaking, it's standard Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac stuff. If it's more than 5 acres, then there's some problems sometimes. So, but generally speaking, the average single family residence, as long as you qualify full documentation, you can qualify for an FHA, VA loan. If you're obviously if you're a veteran and you have a DD 242 or 214, I forget what it's called. And then also for conventional, if you put 5% down, or FHA 3.5% down, which I don't necessarily agree with FHA loans, because you have mortgage insurance for the life of the loan. You can never get rid of it. Right. But for people with less than perfect credit, FHA is definitely an opportunity to get in for lesser fees than a conventional loan, and then raise your credit score and then refinance out of that FHA into a conventional, which would allow you to remove the mortgage insurance when the property increases value down the road.
Look, obviously, Freddie is an expert in mortgages. He's a practitioner in the real estate industry. That's what I like about a mortgage lender. If you're an investor, you want somebody who actually invests property and does it the way you do it. So if you're looking for ADU financing, or if you're looking for Airbnb financing in particular, Freddie's a unique opportunity to learn as well as get your deal financed. So last call, again, questions. If you have any questions, put it in the chat box. I'm watching YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. We've got people on all those channels. Feel free to say hi. Matthew's question we did answer, saying no, it's not a problem in remote areas. Depends on where it is. And if you have comparables, then you can always get financing. That's the key thing. Nobody wants to sell a one of. And what else? I don't think we have any questions. I think that was pretty much, we covered the topics I wanted to. Let me ask you this. Go ahead.
I have one thing that I can really help people with that are about selling today. Mm-hmm. And I really like this because I think this is so important. And I'll answer any other questions that you may have. But I think this is very useful information, what I'm about to tell you. So when someone gets ready to say, hey, Fred, I'm thinking about selling my house. Not only am I a mortgage guy, but I also own a real estate company. And so the first thing that I do, as I say, we need to block off 4 hours. 4 hours. Why do we need to do that, Fred? Because here's what we're going to do. You said it already earlier in this call, and I wanted to address it earlier in the call, but we're addressing it now. So the first thing that I do with my clients is I say, hop in, and we're going to go take a ride. And we're going to look at all the homes that are for sale in their neighborhood together. No realtors do this, Bill. None. And this is what I teach all the realtors on our coaching group. You got to get the owner of that property that you're selling, because the first question they're going to ask you is, what's my house worth? Right? What's my house worth? So what we want to do as real estate agents and to educate our owners of properties is we want to get them in our car and we want to show them the competition. Because is the buyer going to go look at the competition? Absolutely they are. So I love CMAs. I love all the things that you can do on the internet. But until you get out of that car, it's kind of like the dating websites, Bill. You see a picture of something and it's not quite the same picture of the person with the picture that they showed on the internet. The same thing happens in real estate, and the houses don't look quite as good as they do when you're seeing them on the internet. So you got to get out, you got to look at the street, you got to look at the neighborhood, and you got to walk up to that front door and what's the curb appeal like. Then after you look at all the houses that are available for sale in their neighborhood, then the next question that I ask that homeowner is, what place did your house come in? What place? First, second, third, fourth, fifth? And if it was DFL, in golf we call DFL dead effing last, right? So you don't want to be DFL. And so what we do after we ask that question, you realize, Mr. Homeowner, in order to sell your home for top dollar, we got to be in first, second, or third place. So what's our goal is we want to get you up to first, second, or third place. Do you have money to fix up your house before you sell it? And the usual answer is, I don't want to put any money into my house. That's what we usually hear. Well, do you want top dollar? Yes, I want top dollar, Fred. Well, You saw all the other houses that were for sale. Guess what happens when a new house comes on the market and it's nicer than your house and it's priced exactly the same? Guess which house is going to sell faster, Mr. Homeowner? And then you're going to call me up and say, hey, why isn't my house selling? Why isn't my house selling? I'll tell you why. Because your house sucks and you need to fix it up. And that's what a program that we offer, right? I offer this to my clients. And then after we look at 10 houses, I tell them, so we're going to play a little game together, Mr. Homeowner. You're going to write down on a piece of paper what you think your house is worth after we saw those 10 houses. And I'm going to write down on a piece of paper what I think your house is worth after we saw those 10 houses. And on a count of 3, and we'll count together, we're going to open up the piece of paper together, and we're both going to come within, I'm going to guess, $10,000 to $15,000, $10,000 to $25,000 of each other. And you're not even a realtor, and you don't have a license to be able to figure out what that price is. And then once we figure out and determine what we think that house is worth in the current condition that it's in, then we ask ourselves a question: do you want to sell for top dollar? Do you want to sell it faster or slower, right? And then that's how I present my listing package. That's how I present it to the owner. I have not had one person not get a listing with me once I explain all of that. They always choose me. Always is a strong word. Or here's what they do. They go fix up the house themselves and then call me back in 6 months when it's all fixed up.
Nice.
And that approach has worked fantastic. And now I take 50% of the value because I usually pay for, and 1 out of 10 will allow me to fix up their home. 9 out of 10 don't want to deal with all that, but 1 out of 10 will. And that 1 out of 10 is my 1 or 2 deals a year that I do, offering this program. So I'm always about helping people and giving them the opportunity to sell their home for the most amount of money. And I think every realtor should take their clients around and show all the homes that are available for sale. And that separates you from any other realtor out there because you're doing something that nobody else is doing. And if you don't believe me, go ask 100 realtors how many of them show all the homes that are available for sale in their neighborhood before they put a for sale sign on that property. And the answer is going to be 0. But
yeah, I think you're right.
That's what the buyers do. The buyers go look at all the other homes for sale in the neighborhood. That's what they do. So shouldn't you as a seller know what your competition is? Answer, yes, you should.
Well, you either need to find out or you're going to find out the hard way, right? There's no avoiding the reality of the marketplace. I think that's one of the things that people don't understand about this business is eventually the market's going to find itself there. And I just don't think it's realistic to think you can avoid that in the long run.
Good.
Thanks. So, okay, we talked a little bit about finance. We talked a little bit about investing. Let's talk about the psychology a little bit. I'm sure you, like I do, come across people who say they want to get started investing. They want to build wealth. They want to build income. But they've been at it. They've been asking questions. They've been coming to classes for a year, 2 years, 3 years. They just can't get that push over the edge. What do you do to help them push over that edge to get started? What do you see happens if those people get motivated and actually take a step forward?
Endless supply of money. Like grab a ski mask and a gun and go rob a bank. So have an endless supply of money where money becomes not an issue. Right. The reason people get hesitant is because they don't want to lose. And the reason they don't want to lose is because everybody has lost and they hear things and they hear things like that. Oh, this is a terrible time to invest. Oh, this, oh, that. Yeah, but they don't understand that in my area, for example, we had 3,200 homes for sale in March of 2020. We got down to 600 and just below 700 homes at the peak of the inventory issue in our area in the Coachella Valley. Now we're back up to 1,400 homes, so the inventory has doubled. But if you take 1,400 homes, we're still half of the inventory that we had before the pandemic. And
Wow.
so then the next thing that I'm looking at is what's the average sales price? What's going on with sales volume? How
Right.
how much has sales volume dropped? Right? So you and I can think this through logically and figure out, hey, you know what? Even though inventory has increased and doubled in the last 12 months, we're still half of where we were on the inventory before the pandemic started. And so there are still people out there buying, and they don't care. I mean, I've been doing loans for movie actors. I've been doing loans for people that have money, and they don't care that the market sucks right now. They don't care. They don't care because they got the money to afford it. But not everybody's in that same position.
Well, I also think that's one of the biggest misunderstandings of the market is that this is a market where there are people who have money who are buying,
Yep.
and there are people who can't. And there's there's less homes being sold, but they're still being sold to somebody who can afford it and wants to buy the property. And that's the challenge. You can't buy into the hype that the whole market's off. There are plenty of people who are still making money even in this market. It is amazing, but that's the reality, I think.
Well, take your Whittier listing. You know, how many offers did you get in this market? Where are interest rates 5% higher than they were at the end of 2020? 2021, the rates are 5% higher. On $1 million loan, 5% higher is $50,000 a year. Take $50,000 and divide that by 12, the payment would be $4,000 per month. But if you're making $50,000 a month, you don't care about an extra $4,000 as much as someone that's only making, $8,000 or $9,000 a month. So it all just comes down to your financial wherewithal and where you stand financially, and if you and it really comes down to anything in life. How much do you care about it? Like these people. I have a guy that just bought a home in Sherman Oaks for $2 million. It was a referral from Robert Fragoso. Everybody knows Robert Fragoso.
Yeah.
And he referred me the deal, and he goes, Fred, close the deal. And I closed it, and it was smooth as pie. And the client was a movie actor, and the movie actor didn't care because he doesn't watch the real estate news. He's on set filming movies, right? He wanted this house. He bought it. It was a beautiful home. And I said, good for you. High five. And here's your keys.
Nice. Well, that's the thing. I think people make a mistake and assume they'll say things like, well, nobody's buying houses. No, there are plenty of people buying houses. It's really just a matter of some are, some aren't, and make sure you're talking to people who are. It's really just as simple as that.
Very true. Yeah. We love what we do, Bill. We love what we do, and we're thankful that we're able to spread our knowledge. Two nice Jewish boys out here, Solomon and Gross, and we're out here just spreading our knowledge and helping people and doing it without expectation, because this is what we do, and this is the gratification that we get from what we do. And if you can, and this is what I always tell my son, and this is what I tell students at San Diego State, because I'm a mentor down there, that are kids that are transitioning from college life to real life. You got to find something that you enjoy and that you are content with and you get gratification from. And if you can do that, and it gives you gratification to hand somebody the keys to their first.
We lost him again. Okay, so one of the questions, I'm not sure, I mean, not everybody has great internet like I do. I know that we go through this from time to time. I'm sorry he's having some problems with his internet. One of the questions we got from Matthew Price again is, how do we shake the trees to find investors? They generally are trying to find me. So I'll give you my advice, and I'll ask Freddie when he comes back, but I'm a listing agent. So for me, I'm always listing property, and as a result, I get investors who contact me, and I stay in contact with them forever. Everybody I ever meet goes in my database. And every name, phone number, mailing address, and email address. And I email out to everybody once a week about the real estate market. And I post on social media to everybody. So if ever an investor inquires about my property, ever shows my property, ever looks at my property, they're in my system forever. Now they can opt out, and that's fine with me. But I can just tell you it's important to have a platform to communicate to people that come across you. Freddie, the question was, how do you shake trees to find investors? They're not generally trying to find me.
Say that again.
The question we got was, how do we find investors? They're not normally looking to find me. How do I find them?
Well, how do you find investors? So I believe in networking, right? Networking is a really good, and going to, groups like Lloyd Siegel or whoever else group. Who else has a group? Our the guy down in San Diego, Bill.
Bill Tan.
Bill Tan, yeah, and there's a few of them in Orange County as well. But there, I used to speak at all those networking, those real estate groups. But that would be one place to start. Me personally, how would I find investors? Like what I do is I put out opportunities and I show people, hey, by the way, did you know that you could build a swimming pool and create value? And then what happens? What happens is I get people to respond. And then they're like, I'm interested in talking to you about this, Fred. Right. So it has a lot to do with the marketing of how you market the opportunity. So that's what I do is I show people opportunities where other people aren't aware that you could build a swimming pool and create $200,000 cash in your pocket within about 45 to anywhere from 45 days to 6 months, depending on how long it takes to build a pool. But these are just ideas, and it doesn't mean it's for you. It just means it's something that you can do that I have seen success with personally. And I wouldn't tell you to do it unless I would do it myself. So I'm very adamant.
Yeah, that's a critical part. I think it's important that we do things, that we lead other people where we go ourselves. So I can't really lead anybody about ADUs. They look very interesting and appealing. It's just not my juice. I'm not investing here in California. I'm trying to diversify into other states. But for those who are, I want to introduce them to people like you who can help them with that. So I really appreciate you sharing that today.
You're welcome.
Well, look, Freddie, I appreciate your time. I know we've got a little bit kind of our hours finishing up here. And I know we caught you in transition. If somebody wanted to get together with you, either finance a transaction they have or to talk to you about buying their own ADU or their own Airbnb, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Okay, well, I'll put my phone number here in the chat. This is my direct cell phone number, and you guys are welcome to reach out. And you can call or text me, whatever you want to do. And it's 714-403-7334. Once again, 714-403-7334. Of course, Bill knows how to get a hold of me because we're friendly with each other. And I respect everything that you're doing, Bill. I mean, I've been watching you do your little, content things that you've been doing and inviting industry people like myself onto a platform. And look what's happened. How many requests have you been getting to go speak at different various events and things like that? Just because you're just putting out content. And it's not only just content, it's good content. Like,
Thanks.
And I don't always necessarily agree with some of the content, but if, that's okay. You may not agree with me either. And
I think you got to enjoy what you're doing. And I think that's the key is for me, I do a lot of it because it's fun. I feel like I'm helping people. And if you disagree with me, fine, make your case. I'm not shy. If you think I'm wrong, I get people who reply back and give me, what for and have another position. And I can respect it. I think, friends can have disagreements on issues and debate facts and debate philosophies and still be friends. And I also am open-minded. I think I'm willing to listen to other people's point of view. It's important for everybody to be that way. So thanks. It was very nice of you. Well, look, to be honest, I just booked you because I like talking to you. I mean, really at the end of the day, I don't really think it through too much. How many views, how many clicks, how many people, though those are important. At the end of the day, I like Freddie Solomon. I want to do more business with you. I also want people in my tribe to do more business with you. I want my buyers to be using you to finance. I want you to have your investors come buy my properties. I want to work together with you. So I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy. I know we caught you kind of in transition. Thank you so much for making time today. Somebody else had canceled and you stepped in. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, Bill. I love this stuff too, just like you. So me and you are like two peas in a pod.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much. And just to wrap up again, this is the LA County Real Estate Investors Association podcast. We do this every single Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. We do it at, which corresponds to, Bill, do the math real quick, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And then if you're local, this Saturday, Basic Training Boot Camp, 9 hours of great training, $249. It's a steal. Lloyd's a master coach on these matters, and he's going to cover all these different topics of real estate. And then on Saturday, October 21st is the LA Grand Expo, 12 live speakers. That's free, with 70 vendors who will be, lenders, coaches, and so on to help you build your real estate business or build your investment portfolio. So on behalf of the LA County Real Estate Investors Association, I'm Bill Gross. Really appreciate your participation with us today. If you watch this, if you like it, subscribe, put a comment in the comment box. If you have a question for me or Freddie, I'll get it back to you guys. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.